welcome to another new episode of Sense of the Earth. Today we have the second episode, the second month of Sense of the Earth. This is my studio. This is my little frankincense tea. And today we're going to talk about a beautiful material that has been around for maybe millennia. Perfume comes from the old Latin combination of two words, perfumum, which means via smoke. And this is the way that perfume has been done before we knew how to make carriers for perfume or to extract oil. It was the easiest way to produce a scent, to just throw it in a fire or burn it if you knew how to make fire, that is. So it links back to our earliest ways of being as humans, our earliest rituals of communion, and I think this is really beautiful. I think you could say that each and every religion has their own incense. If you look back at my Germanic Dutch culture, this could be pine resin, but I have this beautiful block of copal, which is from Mexico, that has been used by the Zapotec and the Mayans, and they still use it. It's just a beautiful kind of lemony, piney scent. Oh, it's really gorgeous. Can't wait to use this, but it's not easy to use it like this, but it's wonderful to smell it once in a while. Then, if you're familiar with smudging, this is sage. Palo Santo, of course. Tobacco is also being used for smudging sometimes. Smudging is that you light the plant material and then you have this beautiful smoke, and then you can make the spirits, make the ghosts go away, cleanse your house. Then you of course have myrrh, also quite Catholic. Benzoate is also a tree resin. Mastic, which is used in Orthodox Greek churches, and then for people who have been to Catholic churches before probably know frankincense or olibanum. And frankincense has a very weird name, but it just means franc and sens. In French it means pure resin. So you have three different types of frankincense. In your box you can find the tears, the frankincense tears, which can be used as incense. So traditionally this has been used in the Catholic churches, in those beautiful like brass incense burners, but I found a way to do it the Japanese way, which is listening to incense, or kodari. And we're going to do that right at the end as a beautiful kind of departing ritual. Really stunning. So we have the essential oil from the frankincense Freriana from Somaliland, and we're going to dive into where it comes from exactly, because I know this supplier and I love to work with them. So the frankincense Freriana is in understory. And then we have the olibanum, which is called olibanum from the old Hebrew word laban. It's not old, it's still an Arab word for milk. So it's not really milky though, it's more like a honeyed kind of wet resin, more sticky. So generally you could say, if we smell this together, you can also smell it on the blotters that I forgot to send last time. I'm so sorry for that. So the olibanum, this one is from Ethiopia, smells a little bit more sweet, vanillic, rounded, soft, powdery. It's very deeply fixative. It's more of a base note, so it will last on the skin for a long time because it's also a little bit sticky. This is actually not the way to smell it right. So I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna do it with the essential because that's a little bit more liquid. It's easier to It will take less long time to get it out of the bottle with that honey-like substance. So you have this little hole here. You can just move it like this. And then you noticed I made this little angle on the blotter, and this is how perfumers do it. Oh, this is so good. So in this way, you can put the blotter down, and a lot of materials, they are quite oily or have a lot of scent, obviously. So if you would lay it flat on a pure surface or on a beautiful table, it could get a stain or it could stench your table. So in this way, you don't have that problem. Very practical. So with the essential oil, you definitely get more like spiciness to it. There's a slight tanginess in the top notes. It's almost like a citrus, like a lime or lemon. There's some woodiness to it as well, some warmth. There is also some depth. So definitely imagine that it stays on the skin for a long time too. In fact, I know, because the Freriana is an understory. And it's so good. In fact, I love plant materials, but you know that. But this for me, it took a little bit more getting used to, because it's so dynamic. It has the spiciness, it has the depth, it has the grounding feeling, but also it wakes you right up. So in Jennifer Peace Wright's book, Aromatherapeutic Blending Essential Oils in Synergy, she also mentions that frankincense encompasses 4 main categories of scent: spicy, sweet, woody and green. The spicy imparting an uplifting and clarifying effect, while the sweet, woody and green aspects exert a calming, grounding and balancing effect. Therefore, the scent of frankincense creates a dynamic balance, but the net balancing effect is provided by the sweet and green notes. If you look at some old wise people from centuries ago, Pythagoras used frankincense to enable him to prophesy. Avicenna used frankincense to strengthen the wits and understanding. And the herbalist Culpeper suggested it helped with depression, poor memory and strengthening the nerves. So this is a really nice material to have at hand at all times. Maybe you can dab a little bit on something you carry around often. I have this scrunchie that I sometimes use to spray perfume on, or scents that I want to have around but not on me. So you could use a handkerchief, a piece of textile. We had a very good tip from a member of Scents of the Earth to use a little bit of scent as a bookmark. So if you're reading a book, then you can get back to this scent and have it as a kind of like sensorial deepening of your experience. But I have frankincense sometimes next to my computer when I do some typing work and I feel a little bit distracted, and the frankincense will bring me right back. And apparently, hopefully, it will help you with prophecy, just as Pythagoras, or help you with strengthening the wits and understanding, or depression, poor memory, and the strengthening of the nerves. This is seems to be a perfect blend, perfect material if you want to write something, create something, need some inspiration. I can also imagine using this whenever you're like traveling or need to come back to yourself. Cool stuff. When you smell something, goes straight to the limbic brain, and this is the part of your brain where memories and associations and feelings are stored, and there's no filter, so it happens very fast. But perhaps if you spend some more time with this scent, you could rewire some of that information and store some new associations with this material and go beyond the aesthetics of a scent and maybe see the value in its properties. Recently, some researchers have been finding that there is a molecule called insolence acetates in frankincense, and these are people from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem and the Johns Hopkins University who confirmed the psychoactive properties of frankincense, and apparently it's deeply anxiety relieving, and it has like similar effects to valerian. Oh, and other aromatherapeutic benefits that are mentioned by Jennifer Peace Rind in her book Aromatherapeutic Blending Essential Oils in Synergy are that frankincense is anti-inflammatory, so sometimes it's used in skincare as well. It's anti-arthritic, antioxidant, anti-proliferate, antibacterial, antifungal, harmonizing, condition enhancing, helpful for respiration, breathing, and mood elevation. So even though now in the Western world we might have now a more Catholic association with frankincense, the history goes actually way back. So in the old Babylon, they burned 2.5 tons of frankincense per year, and they believed in many different kinds of gods. The white smoke of frankincense was the ultimate balm for angry gods of whatever persuasion. So there used to be this old incense roots from the Arabian Peninsula to the Mediterranean Sea, from Yemen and Oman, and our frankincense just a little southward Somaliland for nearly 500 years. Egyptians used frankincense extensively, and the pharaohs believed that burning it allowed them to commune with the gods. So frankincense has also been used in some embalming practices. So Mandy Aftel had an interesting point when she said that sacrifice is a two-way street. In the Bible, affection is one of the primary modes of interaction and communication with the gods. But when we burn incense, which comes from the Latin word incendare, to burn, we also inspirare, which means to breathe in what we burn, and thus we are inspired. I asked ChatGPT to make a kind of collection of fragrances, perfumes that are more popular that you might know. Opium by Yves Saint Laurent, a classic fragrance that features notes of frankincense along with other oriental and spicy elements. Avignon by Comme des Garçons, which is part of the Comme des Garçons incense series and is renowned for its prominent frankincense note. It captures the essence of a Catholic cathedral with a smoky and mystical aroma. I really want to smell those fragrances. Tam Dao by the Teak, I know that one. While not solely focused on frankincense, Tam Dao by the Teak does include frankincense as one of its notes. The fragrance is known for its creamy sandalwood and cedarwood base, complemented by incense notes. Amouage is a luxury French fragrance house, and Jubilation is a popular scent that blends frankincense with myrrh, oud, and other rich notes. One side note is that in recent times there have been a lot of switching out natural materials for more synthetics. Not to say that this has been done in the above, but sometimes we can smell something in a perfume and it doesn't really smell like the real deal. So that's also why I wanted to start with Scents of the Earth, to smell like the actual material and to be able to smell a perfume and to recognize if it's actually in there. So as with any resinous material, it is derived by cutting the bark of a certain tree, in this case the Boswellia tree, and there are around 25 different kinds of species of Boswellia, and what we have here is the Freriana and the Sacra, and the Sacra is also sometimes called Carterie and also Hojari incense. So this is more of the incense that has been used in Catholic churches. In the Freriana, it has different kinds of scent profile. It also has a very deep, profound meaning with the people that harvest the oil. So when you want to harvest resin, you have to make a cut in the tree, and you have to do that in a way that the tree can recover and won't be caused too much harm. So for the Frankincense Freudiana, we are very happy to work together with a supplier from the Sanaat region, the northeast of Somaliland. And why? Because this is an extremely remote area in a mountain range. It's very hard to reach. 2 days of traveling without any fuel stations or rest areas. And this specific place, it's a lot less arid, a lot less dry than other places in Somaliland. You have a lot of fog that comes from the Gulf of Aden, and the fog is captured by the leaves of the boswellia trees, making them very healthy. And the forests are lush and green compared to the dry and barren valleys below. It will take a very long time to get to this area, but this place has been harvesting frankincense for such a long time that there is from generation to generation a kind of like a code of conduct around the harvest of these trees. If you want to harvest the resin, it must be done in such a way that it doesn't kill the tree. So there always has to be made an incision, and while this for me is already like hard enough to process, it can be done in a way that is only like a little scratch instead of deep cuts. You know, as with humans, when we have a scratch, we produce like a hardened material korstje. And with trees, it's kind of similar. So it's kind of like a band-aid full of healing properties to the tree itself. Antifungal, antiviral. This will heal the tree. But if you're careful, you can also pluck the tears that are basically like the hardened rosin, the resin of the tree, and this will be just covering the wound of the tree. And you can harvest this once in a while. You have to make the tree recover, and this will only be done when the people who harvest also have a relationship with this tree. And I believe that in this village that they carry this great reference. It's really meaningful for the people in the villages, and they also use the incense in their own rituals. It is used to clean teeth as a kind of like chewing gum. It's used as an incense to welcome new babies, to clean houses, to make the mosquitoes go away. It's used on their skin as well. And what I think is really beautiful is that people are caretakers of this tree, passed down generations, and they know exactly which trees that they care for, and they will only harvest from these trees. So this is kind of nice, because when big corporations go to places and harvest, they won't be so focused on the continuation of the life of these trees. So the system of inheritance of the Somali people and their trees prohibits the sale of the trees to any big outside corporations. The incision making of the trees, it has to be done in a very careful way. Just as with human beings, we can heal perfectly well from a scratch. But when there's deep cuts or when it's too much, the tree will die. And the inheritance system and the people relying on this tree and it holding sacred status will also make sure that they really care about these trees. They hold a special status. Also, the life in the rural villages, they work a lot with frankincense. But the people who harvest the resin, they live an arduous life. They sometimes have to live on the mountains for weeks to collect all of the resin. They'll camp there on this very unfriendly limestone, which is quite sharp, and then they'll store the resin in caves to protect it from the sun. before they head down to the villages where the sorting process will happen. The company also provided some solar powered wells to the villagers and living wages, which is of course very important. But when we think about the harvesters and the people living in these villages and the sacred way that they treat these trees, but also the material that they use in their own rituals, I think we can only feel very blessed that we have this material in our hands now, thinking of the long route that it had to take to be finally here, not only from this specific area in Sanak, but also the long route in history and the special meaning that this material had for so many people. And yeah, I think it's very special that we can have this now in our hands and to be able to work with it and to use it as incense and to share a material that connects us with these villagers and also with our ancestors, with the trees, with the way they are growing, that they heal themselves, with the healing that they provided for people for such a long time. Yes, so that's just what I wanted to give to you as a kind of the reference that we share. So I want to share a following ritual with you. It's called Kodo and it's from Japan, and it's very ancient. In Japanese, the words for listening and sniffing are the same. So this practice is called listening to incense, and it has been done since centuries, where people come together, light an incense coal, and put on some precious pieces of wood, some incense materials, and then smell or listen to it in silence and form their own poetic conclusions that can be shared in the end. So this incense burner is from Oaxaca, Mexico, and traditionally it's been used for copal, but today we're going to use it for frankincense. If you are going to select a bowl, be mindful that it can become very hot. There can also be some stings from the smoke, so don't be too attached to it. And to be safe, you can use some sand on the bottom to protect it from the heat. I think you can also use aluminium foil, but today I'm just using sand. I recently learned another trick where you can put just a little bit of salt on the charcoal, and we are totally out of salt, so I won't do that today, which I think is fine. And there's some beautiful tools, of course, in the Japanese way of listening to incense. Like really nice, like special tweezers. But today we're just gonna use our hands. So something that I wanted to share is the following text that I wrote that could be inspiring when you listen to your incense. So the transcendent powers of scent are a reminder that our relationship to the material world and the world of plants is fleeting. Scent is highly transcendental, transporting us mentally to memories, distant lands, alternate states of being. It is about trying to escape that physical realm to reach towards this ever-expansive universe that is our own mind and find ourselves in transformed state of beings. So, and with this, I'm going to try to light the incense coal, which has been proven is not really easy, but I'm very bad with fire. So you can use a matches or a lighter anyway, and then you are carefully going to try to burn the coal. It's making a sound. Yes, it's happening. So what we need, as you can see, is just that the edge is glowing, we need to help it a little bit by blowing on the charcoal, and then you have it. Now I have a feeling that this is hot enough and sustaining itself in its heat. Maybe just a little bit more blowing. I can put this on the incense burner and very carefully I'll select my incense tier, and you can also use some tweezers to do this, but I'm a very hands-on type of person, and I just put it on the edge of the charcoal, as you can hopefully see, so that it will catch the heat soon. Yep, I think it's going. Yeah, so it's already starting to smell quite beautifully in here now that the incense is smoking. Yeah, and I'm reminded by all of the spiritual practices and the molecule that is relieving all of the anxiety. Feels very calming, and now I'm gonna shut my mouth to form my own poetic conclusions, and with this I'm going to end this sense of the earth. If you want to share your own experiences and associations with frankincense, I'm always happy to chat. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day.